Oh, Jeeves, please serve some tea. 2 for these gentlemen and 1 for me.
Your order, sir, will be up in a minute. Do you want it straight or do you want something in it?
Rochester, Van Jones, what are you doing here?
Mr. Falstaff gave me a job writing poems.
What?
Have you heard? Take that handkerchief out of my brother's mouth, officer. He can't go along with a gag.
No, I haven't. Besides, I'm not looking for a poet. I'm looking for a singer.
A singer? Well, why did you say so? I'll be seeing you in all your familiar places when you pay me higher wages all year through.
Rochester!
I'll find you in the morning.
Rochester!
And when the night is
Rochester! Now put that on. Come on, hold right now. Come on, Fred, let's go.
By the magic of eBay, last month, I picked up 4 1901 George Herriman comic strips from the North American Philadelphia. According to my McDonald, he worked on some one-off strips between September 29th, 1901 and April 27th, 1902. And I've heard these mentioned in a few places, a few Herriman biographies, but I've never actually seen any of them reprinted. And I was delighted with these. Herriman was just 21 years old at the time, and I'm just amazed at the creativity and just the wonderfulness of these strips. The earliest one I have is from December 1st, 1901, and in fact there are 2 strips from that date. The first one is called The Smart Boy, His Uncle, and the Wonderful Automatic Mule. So there he is in 1901, and he's doing an automaton, a robot if you will. Well, it's kind of hand operated. But here in the first panel, you have the smart boy, Heine, I guess is his name. The uncle's coming over to check out his mule. Oh yeah, uncle, here it is. He wiggles his head and wiggles his ears. Oh man, uncle's really getting off on it. This is really funny. And the kid's just overwhelmed with enthusiasm. Wiggles his right hind feet, boom. Then wiggles his both foots together, boom, boom, the knockout punch. Then finally we see the woodshed. What do you think, my wiggling, Heine? And you have these 2 characters, the chicken and the duck up front, saying Heine is getting it. I've seen a lot of early strips, Outcults, Yellow Kid, and maybe Foxy Grandpa, but I'm not sure that I've seen the little animals making the narrative. I don't know if that's Herriman's original creation. I don't know. The next one is called Sauntering Sam Discovers the Cause of His Insomnia and Works a Quick Cure. Sam's kind of looking around. I guess he's the hired man. I don't know. He's got the wood cutting implements there, so presumably he's ducking out on work. Here's where I lay me weary head down for a good sleep. He kind of lays down and can't quite get comfortable. Heavens, what disturbing elements is these? What keeps me from sleeping? So he picks up the saw and the little crouch that they put the log on, and the axe. To think that I was trying to sleep with these around. Oh yeah. Avant, vile implements. So he pitches them down into the well. A little extra precaution. He dumps a big rock to block up the well. And just for good measure, here in the last panel, he's got it all tied down, you know. And now for the slumber. This is kind of an allegorical tale, you know, of you know, the workman and dodging his work. And he takes it to the extent in the last panel where he's tied down this rock that's blocking the well that has these tools in it, and the, you know, the kind of little drawings he you know, the little motion lines around it. It's like it's trying to push its way out, you know, to get at him, and he's got it trapped down there. The work is trapped down here, and now I can relax. I think maybe we've all felt that at one time or another. Next, from Sunday, December 22nd, 1901, A Real Marriage on the Fly and a Very Hasty Blessing by Papa. Quick, I hear father's footsteps. And George has got his wife there in the, you know, on the upstairs. Instead of using a traditional ladder to elope, this guy is right in the modern way, and he's got his balloon. So he helps his wife, or his wife to be, into the balloon, and they're flying off, you know. But what's this? Oh, George, father's coming, you know. As for father's got his own balloon, you know, so he's hot on their trail. And George looks down. Looks like a minister down there, you know. I mean, he's got the looks of a minister. So he swoops down and just drops his anchor. Heavens, what is it? You know, and Parson doesn't quite know what to make of it. He's pulled up. We need you in the worst way, Parson. Hurry, she says. He's looking, what the heck, what's going on here? But he soon figures it out, and luckily he held on to his Bible. So he lets go, let no man put us under, you know, and they're all nice and, you know, dignified for their wedding. And then they let the parson in the balloon, so he pays them off. Looks like a $10 bill there. And father gets there just in time. Well, bless you, children. Well, thanks, Pap. I mean, if the father's a balloonist and he's a balloonist, you know, you got to figure that, you know, he'd kind of go for it. And I wonder what George was thinking about in this, you know, in this strip, because he married his wife Mabel the next year, and she was the love of his life. And finally, this is my favorite. It's called The Curious Theosophic Tale of a Lobster's Tender Romance. For those who don't know, theosophism, I can never pronounce it. It's like a belief in the mystic and reality, and it has to do with perception of reality, and how our perceptions of reality affect the history and how, you know, how things are. I know that doesn't sound. You can never explain theosophic thought. You either get it or you don't get it. I think it's one of those things. But here, you know, he's bringing elements of evolution, which I never thought of Darwin as theosophic. But, you know, Herriman was a pretty sharp guy. And here he has, you know, these two lobsters down in the ocean, and says when they first met in the crustacean period, she thought him just the nicest lobster she'd ever met. Then the next panel, they've evolved into apes. I'm not saying it's evolution, but that's what it looks like. And their love was born again when they became monkeys. In the age of stone, he sent her tons and tons of sweet, tender stuff. Looks like it's a cross between cuneiform or borderline hieroglyphics. and charmed her with his flute in the days of the Pharaoh. And it's kind of interesting. I think that at that time they didn't really have that clear an idea of what Egyptians looked like, and did the Romeo and Juliet act in the days of romance. But he married her last year, and to this day she thinks of him a beauty of a lobster. "You're a nice lobster, you are," she says. And she's got a hard grip on that rolling pin, you know. I don't know. Maybe Herriman was one of the early progenitors of the rolling pin phenomenon in comic strips. I don't know. And he says, "Where have I heard that word before?" I was so happy to get these strips, and I don't know, they just, they look so good to me. And you can see, I mean, he was a young cartoonist, but you can see elements of his work that were going to come back in later years. His backgrounds, they're not, well, you can't really say they're shifting in the same sense as Coconino County, but he did the same, he used the same elements that he would later use in Krazy Kat. His stuff in the teens, it stayed a lot in this vein. These strips, yes, they're very delicately drawn and very well drawn, and I think that that George Herriman was just a genius, and I think it doesn't show so much in some of his later stuff, like his family upstairs stuff, the Dingbats. They just didn't have the delicacy in the character that these early strips had. But I suppose that's a part of when cartoonists start out, they have a certain love and a certain flair, and then it kind of I don't want to say it tapers off, because his stuff later was so good, but it doesn't have quite the same illustrative style, I think, that these early strips had. Well, I've only scratched the surface of what I wanted to say about these strips, but this cast has gone on way too long, and I want to thank everyone who stuck with the punishment. I guess anything that I could say about these strips you can see in the artwork here. So you can always find this screencast at www.coconinobrickworks.blogspot.com, and have fun.
Listen to your woman, but not closely.